Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's another lockdown and it's another dodgy DIY haircut. It's a good job you can't see the back of this. I'm back in the MG, my 1967 MGB GT. I'm going to tell you about a couple of fixes that I've made over the past couple of weeks, as well as some extra stuff which I've come across whilst doing that. So I'm going to open the bonnet and show you what I've been up to. So the first thing that I've changed under here is this new heater valve or heater tap. And it was a simple job. It was only a couple of bolts, one on the top, one on the bottom, and I've replaced the gasket as well. One thing to be careful of though is because this tap is directly above the distributor, when you take it off without draining any of the fluid, water does go all over your distributor if you're not careful. So what I did to start with when I removed this hose was put like a little tray under there to catch the water. But when I took the main bit out of here, it was hard to get a big enough tray to protect the distributor, so I just put some plastic over the top of it and let's let the water run onto the ground. Normally you'd want to drain the radiator probably and get rid of most of the water from the top of the engine and replace the fluid inside if you can, but because I'm going to do that as part of my maintenance series, I just topped it up with regular water and antifreeze. I wasn't too bothered about the escape of water there. So the other thing with this heater tap is when I was trying to refit the control cable, you can see it here is snapped off. It's a very stiff wire, and on the previous tap it was bent over, and I don't think it's supposed to be bent. So when I bent it back the other way, it sheared off, I think, metal fatigue on this stiffer wire. It's not like a speedo where, I mean not speedo, I mean throttle cable, where it's a bit more slack and more flexible. This one is stiff because it has to push it sort of in two directions rather than being on a spring, and it just broke. So I've ordered another one of those and I'll fit that when that turns up. The next little job that I did the weekend before last was to actually fix a exhaust gasket that had gone a bit bad. So jack the car up, replace the gasket that had gone, and put in a more heavy duty one this time, so hopefully it will last a bit longer. The problem is they seem to last a few 100 miles perhaps, or less than that, maybe 50 miles or something, and on a spirited drive eventually it just goes and the exhaust goes really loud. Hopefully this new more durable gasket will last a bit longer, but what I'm going to try and do is, after taking it for a drive, is re-torque the bolts up on the joint itself, and hopefully that will compress the gasket a bit more. It could be that after fitting it and heating it up and cooling down, it becomes a bit loose and allows the air to escape and ruin the gasket. So keeping those tight might be the key there to make these last a bit longer. So this brings me on to a couple of the extra pieces that I noticed when doing these other jobs. So the first thing I noticed was when I started the car to make sure the heater tap wasn't leaking after refitting it, the engine had a lot of excessive shake in my opinion. Okay, it was cold and the RPMs weren't high, but it was really rocking. So I'll start the engine now and I'll show you how much vibration I've got there, and I think potentially I need new engine mounts, so I've got those on order. So have a look and see what you think. The other thing that I noticed was actually when I did the jobs the other weekend, I took it for a drive over to Chobham Common to meet my family for a walk. This was pre-lockdown. I thought it was a good opportunity to give the car a bit of a run. The heater tap didn't leak, the exhaust didn't blow, which was great, but what I noticed was on the way back I was going to film some driving around, and that was going to be a video in itself, but it started to rain, and in fact it started to sort of hail and sleet a bit, and my wipers didn't turn on. So you may remember one of my videos from the summer, I had a similar problem where I flicked the switch a few times, nothing happened, and then they kicked into life, but this time nothing. Just tried to get it to work, up and down on the switch, banging on the motor, nothing seemed to happen. So I'm going to have to do a bit of investigation there, and it could be that the motor brushes have potentially gone. So I've ordered a set of those. That's the sort of cheapest bit to start with, and we'll see if that improves things. So I'll keep you updated on the progress there. Okay, nothing really left for me to do now except take this car out for a little bit of a drive, make sure everything's still holding together, and something that I missed out on doing last time was filming this car going along because of the weather and the lack of wipers there. Next time, or the next update on the MG, hopefully some of those parts have arrived and I can fit them and show you how I get on with those. I've also ordered some front suspension components, as I mentioned before the new year, I'm going to give the front and rear suspension a bit of a rebuild, so they're a bit more fresh. I don't think I've done it since owning this car, and it will teach me a thing or two about servicing the suspension. So look out for that video, and I'll be back with you again very soon. See you later.